Welcome back to another episode of My Legacy Garage. Today, we're back on the C20. We're going to see if we can get her to actually, run and move under its own power. So, after the last video, I noticed it was leaking fuel all over the floor, back underneath the cab, and the rubber line that goes from the hard line coming down from the tank over to the hard line on the frame rail, it's got a hole in it. So we need to replace that, and then I got $100 worth of stuff laying here to put in it and see if that makes it run any better. We're going to give it the old tune-up in a can, some new spark plugs, got a new water pump for it, see if we can get the cooling system working, and then we'll try and drive it. Stay tuned. Let's dig in. The first order of business, this water pump, she shot. So we're going to go ahead and get that yanked out and get a new one put in there. And then we'll move on to the spark plugs. Sounds like a good plan. Let's take a look at what we found here. Notice I started backing the bolts out. And they're not out very far. That one's the furthest out. And now it spins. How about that? So I stuck my hand back around in behind here, and where these bolts come through, they're hitting these ridges on the water pump because the bolts are too long. Just another reason why this guy shouldn't have been allowed to own this truck. So I'm going to take them out so I can get some shorter ones. We'll just take the fan off for now. And then we'll move on to spark plugs. I can't just leave well enough alone, so rather than settling for going to get new bolts, it really wasn't caught by much, so I just put some washers on it just to space them out just a hair, and now we're good. So happy days. What for plugs do you guys like to run in these? I like to run the Delcos. That's factory. So we're going to go ahead and put R45 TSXs in it. I always check them, gap them, put them in, because I've had a couple of them where at some point, they dropped them and closed the gap in on them or something along those lines and had a dead cylinder. And that's no fun, because then you think your engine's junk. Because most of the time, I'm only changing spark plugs, if I don't know if it's junk or not. Let's get these slapped in there. Plugs coming out of this thing, they're not so bad. They're just pretty oily. But they're pretty carboned up, so I'm guessing she's had a rich condition for a while. But the oil coming off of them, it's legit. So it's a good thing we're changing them. We got to get that water pump pelt back on there too, because I forgot I took that off. That would have been bad. I'd have been like, why is it so hot? Why isn't the fan spinning? And then I've been like, oh, because you're stupid, that's why. Yeah. So continue on. We got the passenger bank done. We're gonna slam in the driver's side here. Speaking of spark plugs and headers, anybody else think about just using a torch and just header right off of there to change spark plugs? It seems like it'd be easier. Yeah. Now that we've got the spark plug nonsense taken care of, we need to get this here belt on here, and I also noticed there's no hose clamp whatsoever on that lower radiator hose on the water pump. So that's probably not good. I'm going to go ahead and slam one on that, get this belt on, and we'll put some coolant in it. This seems to work fine now that I put those spacers on it, so I think we'll be alright. Let's get after it. We're just going to sneak this down in here and around the hose, and then we just got to run it tight. Yeah, piece of cake, no problem. There's plenty of room, nothing's in the way, it's fine. I can totally see what I'm doing. Yeah, it's alright. Wow, I got it started. That's awesome. It's the little things in life, it really is. Isn't this why impact drivers exist? Ow. Well, maybe just a little more. I don't like leaks. That'll do. All right. Now I guess belt. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody watching this is like, how do you install a belt? Because I don't know, it's not that hard. You know, theoretically, you put it around the stuff that it goes around, right? Like so. And then you make it tight. And the way you make it tight is with this belt installer tool here. And you just kind of, you know, you pry on stuff until it feels like something's going to break. And then, you know, that's good there. As long as it doesn't actually break, you're fine. So the idea, of course, here was to get this truck put together and drive it today. But Mother Nature has other plans. Now, we have a slight issue. And the slight issue is Mother Nature's drunk and it's snowing to beat the band. It's supposed to be rain, but it's snow. So we might have to come up with an ulterior plan. Although, hey look, there's the square body. Well, you guys can't really see down in there, but I can. And it's not supposed to be brown. It's really low. I think we're just going to go ahead and just drain that out and start from scratch. Well, let's see here. How much of this can I spill while I fill it? A lot. That's how much. Something that I discovered after we had it running off the fuel that we put in the tank there was that the rubber line back here, it's got a hole in it, and there was fuel all over the floor, you know, right under the exhaust cutouts. So that's probably not good. I think this truck might be a recipe for fire. Anyway, we need to fix that. It is time to go under the truck and fix the fuel line. I've waited till last to do this because, well, I don't want to do it. What we've got here is the fuel line where it comes out of the bottom of the cab from the tank, and it goes over here to the frame rail. And this little piece of rubber is toast. Frankly, that line, it doesn't look too hot either, but I think we can save it. Well, we can check that off the list. That was unpleasant. I suppose this is the part where we see if it runs for real. Let me just double check, make sure I didn't forget anything on the list that I didn't write down. I did forget something. Tune up in a can. I'll go ahead and just dump this all in there with that like 2 gallons of fuel. It'll give it that, you know, octane boost to basically be race fuel. Drink up, little guy. Good to the last drop. Well, I think we're good. I think everything that needed to be done got done, and we're ready to try it. So, that's what we're going to do. Now we touched stuff, so we're going to do a fire test again. Alright, no fires. That's good. And then we'll, you know, clamp that down. There we are. I'm going to leave the radiator cap off so we can look in here and see, you know, if it's circulating. And I'm hoping that, you know, the block isn't cracked or freeze plug popped out of it or something like that. There's no antifreeze running all over the ground yet, so I think we're okay. We're going to give her a little shot of brake clean to primer that fuel back up since I had the fuel line apart. All right, let's see what it does. Well, it still doesn't want to idle, but it runs. Looks like it mixed some brown with the green, so that might be all right. There's like 6 inches of snow on the ground, but that shouldn't stop us from trying to drive it, should it? At least, you know, make sure forwards and backwards works. Let's try, see what happens. I have seriously got to invest in a better battery.
Seeing as how the battery in the truck was dead, I went ahead and got distracted by putting this little cart together that I got for the new MIG welder there, because I'm making some investments in the channel. This little cart was pretty cheap on Amazon. I'll put the link to this and the welder actually, and the helmet and everything else I got in the description of this video, but it's pretty handy. It wasn't real expensive. The directions, you know, they leave a little bit to be desired. That's the extent of what you get. But it's not exactly rocket science. You just look at the picture and then you make it look like the picture. So I'm almost done putting that together, and then I reckon we'll give this truck a try after we get this all put together and see what it looks like.
It's been a while since I put the charger on the truck. I put the cart all together, set the welder all up and everything. We went out and played in the snow for a while. It's time to get back to work. Let's try this again. Now, the neighbor has a 4-wheeler out plowing or playing, I'm not sure, but there might be some noise. But this will be louder, so let's see what we can do. We discovered a few things. 2 important ones. First, it's got brakes that are hung up and it doesn't want to move. And second, it doesn't want to idle at all. And I don't know if that's a function of the carburetor or if the timing's a little off. I can't tell if it's got a cam in it or it just runs like crap. I don't know. So I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit, check the timing. I think that's where we start there. But first, let's see if we can get some wheels freed up so it'll roll. Because right now, she is tight. Apparently, there is also an antifreeze leak. A fairly substantial one. Maybe around that water pump housing jacket right there. Just can't see nothing in here, I'm telling you. Come on. Well, Either way, it's got a leak somewhere. I think it's coming from that water pump jacket right there, but I can't tell for sure, and it quit leaking, so I don't know. Probably should pop that thermostat out of there and see if that's even opening. So this has turned sort of a murky brown, and it went down a little, but not a lot. But there's no pressure on this at all, and this radiator hose, you know, it's warm down here towards the engine, but right here, it's cold. So I don't think that thermostat is operating, which could be causing the issue. Maybe it's just building up too much pressure and we're blowing a seal out. So we've got a couple bum vacuum lines. Vacuum advance, like there's issues. So I'm gonna see if cleaning that stuff up makes any sort of a difference. Seems like a good place to start. That's fuel leaking out of the carburetor. That's fine. I don't know, man. What I do know, it's Super Bowl Sunday and it's quitting time. So that's the end of this video. Next time, we're gonna figure out the whole run properly thing. We've made good progress, but I think we need to check out timing and probably mess with the carburetor. Maybe get a rebuild kit for it. Ugh, I hate messing with carburetors. I always mess it up somehow, but you know, there's lots of good content on YouTube for me to go look at it and figure out how to adjust it right, especially these quadrajets. People, you know, they use them. So we also need to figure out what's hanging up in the wheels, but at least we have proof of concept. It will move forwards and backwards under its own power. The gears work, clutch works, so that's all, you know, good stuff. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. See what happens next week. Gonna be honest, it's probably gonna be a Jeep video next week because I need to just do that. And make sure you enter the giveaway. Super clean. Links in the description. There's also some shout outs down there for some of the channels that really support me that I really like. And everything you need to know about the giveaway and everything you get from Super Clean is in the box. It's awesome. Super Clean is super awesome. What more can I say? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. It's not leaking antifreeze now. It's either out of antifreeze or it miraculously fixed itself. That's what I'm going with.